Rusty the dog loves exploring how much different towns and villages near where he lives have changed over time. He recently visited the town of Yatton in North Somerset, but not as it is now. Instead, he wanted to know what it was like in the Roman era. Yatton has grown out along a main road, and that road has likely existed in some way for thousands of years. Large areas of North Somerset and the surrounding counties that are now dry land were flooded in the distant past, and many places that we now think of as hills were islands back then. Before the main road through Yatton was made of tarmac, it would have been a simple path, and before that a trackway, following the slightly raised dry ground. There were people living around here as far back as the Bronze Age and the Iron Age, but Rusty has recently been exploring the Roman era, which was a time of temples, villas and bustling industry. The hill area that we call Cadbury-Congresbury and Henley Woods at the southern end of Yatton once had an Iron Age hill fort that was altered by the Romans, who built a temple here. Excavations at the site found many interesting objects that show how the existing British culture mixed in with the Roman culture. A beautiful little example of this is the bronze figurine that is now on display in Western Museum. This figurine shows a lady, possibly a goddess, with plaited hair and a collar or torque around her neck. She looks very Iron Age and has been dated from a time just before the Roman era here. However, the Romans were very clever and often merged local gods and goddesses with their own Roman ones, so she may have continued to be worshipped during the Roman era. By compromising like this, the Romans tried to keep local tribes happy. As well as building places of worship, the Romans created impressive homes for the people that lived around Yatton. In 1884, remains were discovered to the west of Yatton along the River Yeo, of a Roman villa that we call Wemberham Villa. There were many different objects found on the site, including pottery, coins, glass, iron and bone artefacts, painted wall plaster, bricks, tiles, roofing slates, and evidence of an intricate mosaic floor. It is likely that there were various other buildings along the main length of Yatton, which are now covered by modern buildings, and there have been lots of Roman sites discovered in the towns and villages near Yatton. Wherever people live, they also need a place to set aside to lay their dead to rest. One such location was recently discovered on the northwest side of Yatton. This amazing excavation discovered hundreds of graves dating from the late Roman period into the early medieval era. Graves were laid out in a big group, all closely spaced and lined up at different angles. Modern Christian burials are usually buried with an east-west alignment, so the mixture of different directions suggests that the people buried here may not have all been Christian. This was a time in British history when there was a big mixture of religious beliefs and practices, with some people still following Iron Age pagan traditions, some following Roman gods and goddesses, others following Christian beliefs, and others following a mixture of all three. As well as evidence of religious sites and Roman homes, there have been lots and lots of digs around this area that have found pieces of Roman pottery. If there is one thing the Romans had lots of, it was pottery. A recent excavation in nearby Congresbury found an amazingly preserved kiln and a huge amounts of what we call Congresbury greyware pottery. If you would like to explore how Congresbury greyware was made and have a go at making your own pottery, head to the Rusty's Adventures page of the Western Museum website. There you can find activity packs featuring crafts, stories and information from many different eras. If you would also like to explore other historical sites, images and information on Yatton, then you can head to the Know Your Place website. This is a fantastic resource of maps and historical points of interest, covering the whole of North Somerset and a number of nearby counties.